By the new millennium, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater had become a breakout success, selling millions of copies and pushing skateboarding into the mainstream. Around the same time, other games like Rockstar's Thrasher Presents Skate and Destroy and Sony Computer Entertainment's Grind Session received mixed to positive reviews, but none matched the cultural impact of Pro Skater. Activision, Neversoft, and Tony Hawk wanted to go bigger with their next game. They refined everything that Pro Skater did well, added new mechanics and features, and released a sequel that redefined what an extreme sports game could be. That sequel was 2000's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. My name is OneHip, and thanks for clicking on this video. Like the first game, I haven't played it since I was a kid, so that nostalgia once again came flooding back in. I was so glad that I found copies of both 1 and 2, and if you haven't watched my retrospective of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater yet, feel free to watch that as well. And just like before, even though I didn't mention it in the previous video, I played the PlayStation version via the DuckStation emulator on PC. Anyway, here's my retrospective of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Let's go! Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was developed on the same engine as the original, but with noticeable visual improvements. It was released between late September and mid-December in 2000 worldwide on the PlayStation, Windows for PC, Dreamcast, and Game Boy Color, with later ports to Mac OS and the Nintendo 64 in 2001, and even mobile and iPhone versions in 2006 and 2010 respectively. An enhanced re-release called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X would be released on Xbox in 2001 as a launch title. This includes all of the levels from the first 2 Tony Hawk games, as well as 5 original ones and the addition of elements from Pro Skater 3. It would also be remade as part of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD in 2012 and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 in 2020. Just 2 weeks after its initial release, Pro Skater 2 would become the top-selling PlayStation game and would later go platinum on that console in the United States. Total worldwide sales across all platforms would breach 5.3 million units. The PlayStation, Dreamcast, and PC versions would receive universal acclaim from critics. At one point, it was the second highest rated game ever on Metacritic, trailing only The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It's currently the highest reviewed PlayStation 1 game, with a Metacritic score of 98 out of 100. Reviewers praised the game's tight controls, graphical improvements, soundtrack, level design, and level editor, all of which I'll touch on throughout the video. Minor criticism was given for the short draw distances on larger levels, but this didn't get in the way of the overwhelmingly positive reception. The Nintendo 64 port fared slightly worse, but still received a positive response, while the Game Boy Color version was noted for being a step up from the first game, despite gameplay issues. Pro Skater 2 brought over what worked best in the first game, and refined and expanded the gameplay, level design, and features to set a new benchmark for what an extreme sports game could be. Like the first game, you move your self-propelling skater around with either the D-pad or joystick. All trick mechanics return here, including flips, grinds, grabs, lip tricks, and ground tricks like no complies to get more height, and they all feel more refined. The most notable addition are manuals, which can be performed either regularly or as a nose manual. These completely change how you play, letting you string tricks together into bigger combos and link sections of a level without breaking the score. I forgot to mention in the last video that wall rides were introduced in the first game, but in Pro Skater 2 they're expanded. You actually get points by riding the wall itself, instead of when you pop out of it, and wallies complete the expansion of this mechanic. The game also introduces the big drop feature, where you're guaranteed to bail from a great height if you don't press the ollie button before landing. This adds a touch of realism and extra challenge to the levels. This feature would be removed in later entries due to backlash from players. Once again, there's no balance meter during a grind, so you have to judge your skater's position and adjust accordingly. However, manuals have one. You can also change your stance to switch, or to initiate a nollie or fakie position with the press of a button. Using these variation stances in combos add extra score multipliers, encouraging more creative lines. The movement feels more fluid here than in Pro Skater, and manuals in particular open the door to bigger combos. Like the game before it, Pro Skater 2, which by now has graduated high school, got a job, moved out of home, and maybe even found a partner, has aged remarkably well, despite the outdated visuals. To me, the gameplay still feels somewhat grounded in reality, but the new mechanics serve as a bridge between this and the more over-the-top arcade-heavy style of Pro Skater 3 and beyond. There are 5 goal-based levels, 3 competition levels, and 2 bonus stages. Goal levels include the Hangar in Mullet Falls, School 2 in Southern California, New York City in New York, Venice Beach in California, and Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. Competition levels include Marseille in France, Skate Street in Ventura, and the Bull Ring in Mexico. Beating every goal unlocks Chopper Drop, a huge vert ramp with a separate finish line pier floating in the ocean, and from there you unlock Skate Heaven, a surreal map set in space. The Hoffman factory from Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX appears exclusively in the Nintendo 64 version. The levels are much larger and more complex than in Pro Skater, with a greater sense of depth and verticality. There are also numerous high spots to do tricks, including high wires in Philly, overhead train tracks in New York, and ceiling fluorescent lights in the Hangar, with many often leading to secret areas. Like critics at the time, I did notice the shorter draw distances and larger levels, but memorizing the layout of each level after playing this game and the remake over the years made navigating them second nature. School 2 and the Hangar are my personal favourites, and of course, Skate Heaven is a rewarding experience once you earn it. Chopper Drop was a bit of a letdown, and Venice Beach, while enjoyable, was the weakest main level for me, as I feel it didn't have flow like the others did. However, I do appreciate that this is based on a former real-life area called the Pit. Overall though, every stage has its charm, and riding through them all again was just as fun as it was all those years ago. If you want to see other Tony Hawk retrospectives, and even ones of extreme sports and racing games from other franchises, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Thank you for your support as always. Anyway, on to Pro Skater 2's features and soundtrack. Pro Skater 2 introduces a far more feature-packed career mode. As well as the original skaters from the first game, new pros include Steve Caballero, Eric Costin, and Rodney Mullen. Each skater comes with a short bio about them and either a street, vert, or all-around category, with stats to match their style. For example, street skaters have a higher grind balance, while vert skaters have higher air stats. You can select your skater's style, buy stat points and tricks with the in-game currency, and visit the skate shop to buy better boards and adjust your truck tightness. You can also assign your purchased tricks to button combinations to make your skater's moveset more personalized to your style of play. Secret skaters make a return, with Officer Dick and Private Carrera, joined by newcomers 80s Tony Hawk, and thanks to a licensing deal with Marvel Comics at the time, Spider-Man. I think he's the greatest secret skater in the Tony Hawk series, in my humble opinion. And in South Korean and some other Asian versions, you can unlock members from the girl group Fin KL. To get most of them, you need to complete all career goals and medals, with Private Carrera being unlocked when you land every gap in the game. You earn cash by completing goals and finding banknotes scattered throughout each level. You need to earn a certain career earnings total to unlock the next level. For goal levels, they've now doubled to 10 per stage. New goals include performing a certain trick on an asset, such as doing a nose grind over a pipe in the Hangar, getting high, pro, and 6 scores, and even for completing all goals and collecting cash in a level. The newly named Secret Tape is once again found in a hidden or hard to reach area in each goal level. You can also view a short overview video of each level in the level select screen, which is a nice little feature. Once you have at least medaled in every competition, you unlock a Bales video. Once you earn all gold medals, you unlock a skate line compilation video and the credits roll. And once you complete all goals, you unlock secret skaters and some cheats, and the credits roll once again. Other modes from the first game like single session, free skate, and 2-player all return. The big new additions are Create Skater and Park Editor, both of which would become series staples. In Create Skater, you can make up to 4 custom skaters and deck them out in your own style. There's no option to make your skater female. That would come in Pro Skater 3. But even so, it was a huge step forward for personalization. Park Editor was surprisingly robust for its time. You can pick one of 4 themes, and you can drop in assets like rails, risers, quarter pipes, the infamous bungee pits, and more. You can also select single and 2-player starting points, and even create your own gaps. I forgot how much you could do in Pro Skater 2's version of this mode, and it would only get expanded upon in future games. The options menu rounds out things, with being able to adjust sound and display options, check high scores and gaps you've unlocked, toggle cheats on and off, watch videos you've unlocked, and even play a demo of Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX. And then there's the soundtrack, one of the best in gaming history. Like Pro Skater before it, 2's soundtrack helped define the musical tastes of many people growing up. Opening the game with Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine sets the tone immediately, while tracks like No Cigar by Millencolin, Bring the Noise by Anthrax and Public Enemy, and 5 Lessons Learned by Swingin' Utters keep the energy going. By the year 2000, kids were discovering bands like Bad Religion and Lagwagon through the game, and their fan bases grew because of it. Even sound effects like rolling on concrete or grinding a rail helped add to the immersion. Pro Skater 2 was more personal and creative, and thanks to its excellent soundtrack, it was much more influential than the first game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 isn't just remembered as a great sequel, it's also remembered as one of the greatest video games of all time. The game cemented Neversoft's reputation as one of the premier game studios of the early 2000s. The influence of Pro Skater 2 went beyond initial reviews. Manuals, Creator Skater, and the Park Editor became franchise staples, shaping how future entries were built. Its soundtrack helped define the identity of the series, and in many ways, introduced punk and alternative hip-hop to a whole generation of kids. The game also set a new benchmark for the entire extreme sports genre. After its release, other titles like Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 2, and Aggressive Inline all borrowed pieces of its formula, from goal-based levels to combo-driven gameplay. But Pro Skater 2 always felt like the game that others were measured against. Its legacy lived on in remakes and re-releases as well. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X in 2001 brought the game into the next generation as an Xbox launch title. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD in 2012 gave a then modern audience a mediocre taste of what 2000 offered. But it was 2020's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 that truly reminded people why this game was special. Seeing new generations discover it, while old fans like me get hit with a wave of nostalgia, showed just how timeless the design really was. I had a wonderful time playing through this, and those feelings I had playing it for the first time as a kid came back to me, and it felt terrific. Even now, 25 years later, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 stands out as a cultural milestone. It helped skateboarding break into the mainstream, inspired countless players to pick up a board in real life, and proved that video games could capture the spirit of a sport in a way that was stylish, fun, and unforgettable. It's truly one of the greats, and it changed everything. Thanks for watching. What are your memories of Pro Skater 2? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, and subscribe to watch my other retrospectives, including Pro Skater 3, which was my first ever retrospective that I did earlier in 2025. Thank you also to those on screen who are channel members and who donated to my Ko-fi page. I truly appreciate your extra support. If you wish to be part of the end credits of future videos, you too can become a channel member or donate to my Ko-fi page. Links are in the description. My name is OneHip, and you have a good one. Bye!